Ken and Tom for asking me to speak, and I don't know if I can really add anything to what these fine gentlemen have stated, but I like to kind of know my audience. Could I see a raise of hands on how many broker owners are in this class here? So that's the majority. I used to be one of you till I met Jen Dollar and Jeff Osley, and they were gracious enough to buy the real estate company. So now I'm an agent out here on the street, and what I've noticed is my market went from, and this is basically Orlando, Southwest, Dr. Phillips, Windermere, if you've heard of those areas, went from the luxury end market of an average of about 650 to no market. And when I transitioned from being a broker owner to being back on the street as an agent, I just kept that luxury end market mentality where, you know, this is going to turn. So after about a year and a half and no money, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, you know, all these short sales that I'm referring out to other friends in the business, I'm an idiot. I need to go get some education on this. This is the market, and I need to not bury my head in the sand. So I did just that, and probably back, I'm thinking probably back in October, November of last year, I went out and got certified in short sales and started after that market. And I probably do it a little bit different than most, where I don't just take a short sale that isn't going into a foreclosure. I'd rather have one that's going into a foreclosure that has the less pendants filed on it, and then I have an attorney that will stay the foreclosure action. So I look at the transaction as probably a train station, and you have two trains that are coming out of the station, and they're both headed to Buffalo, New York. And on one track you have the short sale engine, and on the other track you have the foreclosure engine. And what I try to do is to make sure that that short sale engine gets to Buffalo, New York, to the destination before that foreclosure. So whatever the attorney can do legally, whatever I can do to help to keep that foreclosure action stayed, to get that short sale negotiated. I've had one that I call my full term short sale. It went 9 months. And I sold that property to a surgeon who said that he wouldn't come out of his pocket for any extra to buy the property. At the end of the day, though, 24 hours before closing, I think he came up with $3,000 to buy the property. It was a good deal. Most people there are a lot of brokers out there, and you'll hear from the agents that work for them. They'll say, well, don't show short sales. It's a waste of time. Don't do it. You're wasting your time. Go find an REO property. I can tell you that every short sale that I list, I close. Some take a lot longer than others, but at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. And I look at it like, you know, if I have a pipeline that I'm constantly rebuilding, there's going to be a payday there, as long as you have the tenacity and the skill set to negotiate a complex transaction that involves a lot of people that all have to be basically a team. Title company, attorney, your seller, the buyer, the buyer's agent, everybody needs to be committed to the outcome. So I try to make sure when we put a property under contract that I have full commitment. By that I mean, if an agent brings me an offer, they don't want to put earnest money deposit down, they don't want to do any due diligence up front, then my seller is typically not going to accept that deal. We price the properties right to where we know we won't have an appraisal problem. We know that we're within the percentages of where we need to be to get the transaction closed and negotiate with the lenders. And you know, as time goes on, things change. And on the way up here today, it was brought to my attention in the last 48 hours, some of my friends that are doing primarily REO properties are now having some issues because there's been some litigation filed And I think everything starts in Florida for whatever reason, South Florida, right, Steve? But evidently there's been some lawsuits, and now we've got some lenders out there that are really a little squeamish about closing some of their foreclosures, that REO properties that they have under contract. And in just 4 calls on my way up here, 4 people that I know in the REO business in the Orlando region, probably a combination of 60 transactions under contract, have all been suspended or canceled in the last 48 hours because of the litigation that's coming down the pike on robo-signers that have signed affidavits that they didn't read them, nothing was verified, and they just signed off on these transactions to get them closed. So my wife and I were talking about it on the way up because she just got certified to do REO properties, and we just had this discussion as far as business planning on our business in the last couple of weeks, that we really think the short sale market here, from all the numbers that we're seeing, is here to stay for at least the next 2 to 3 years. So I would only tell you we're where we're at income-wise, because I just finally decided to take my head out of the sand and embrace the market that we're in. And I still work my referral business on past clients and customers, and I still stay in touch with them, and I get a lot of referrals from them. But I would say right now our numbers tracking, and Sarah's the CFO for the family, I would say we're what, 90%? All of our closed transactions are short sale. So I've decided to do what a lot of other people don't want to do.